And welcome to a new episode of A Dynasty Mind. Tonight, I am excited to be joined by Bee Salamat, former writer for Fake Pigskin, moving on to greater and bigger things at DLF Football. You are the face of the IDP world, and a lot of people come to you. I know I personally come to you for advice all the time. Bee, how are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, man? Just glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. But I'm doing good today. Can't complain. Another beautiful Hawaiian weather.
Oh, that's beautiful. And from what we talked about before we got on air, your family's safe. You're safe from all the lava activity that's going on around in the other island. So we're fortunate to hear that, and it's good to know that you're all right. You'll be continuing on to do your stuff, letting us know that your Twitter is exploding with basketball, with IDP news, and all of that. So, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved with Dynasty? Your years of writing, and how did you get into this niche of defense?
Ooh, shoot, where do I start? Well, back in like '95, I was still like a freshman in high school. But bunch of buddies, we just started, playing fantasy football because we wanted something different to do. And then at that time, IDP was like a ghost. So we picked like one defensive player, and then so I had Derek Thomas, and he was a beast back then. I enjoyed watching him, the Chiefs. Um, and then it kind of had a little slow point, but it picked up again once we went to college and all, and we started adding on, expanding the IDP um, around 2002, where we expanded to like six, and then to where I am today. Um, I can't. I mean, I can play in IDP leagues that start less than 11, but I prefer starting 11 or more, or 11 max, I guess. But and then the dynasty aspect, I did pick that up until probably around the same time, 2002. But like how new people are, I wasn't really familiar with how to run a dynasty team or what to expect. But as many of us do, we do our homework and we want to improve year after year. So and where I am today, I think I'm in a good spot. But with so many information out there today, it just blows my mind on how big we've become as a community and so many talented people out there. And I'm glad to be part of the fantasy community.
Yes, that is we see this huge amount of growth that just boomed. And 20 back in 2012, we don't really. It's just a very untested water, and but it seems like you already are familiar with the defensive side, and I'm guessing you enjoyed the defensive side of football. So ever since then, the knowledge base may have grown, but we still, or at least I still, go back to the people that I trust with the eyes and putting in the homework and things like that. And thankfully, now Dynasty League Football, the website, they got a good one in you. So in talking about growing yourself, evolving, and developing your process, where do you think you are today in building your dynasty team when you're looking into the landscape of both offense and defense? Where do you like to build? How do you like to build your team?
How do I do my? You see, it's pretty simple actually. If you look at all my teams and all the teams that I've built and I drafted, um, and all my league mates, you'll see that, or you'll hear from them. I target certain players and certain positions. Like on the defensive side, uh, I'll build my IDP unit around linebackers, unless I can, unless I have a shot at getting a elite defensive end. Like nowadays it's Joey Boza or my boy Daniel Hunter. But more times than not, I will build my unit around a strong linebacker core because that's the bread and butter in IDP. They have they see the most volume and kind of goes the same offensively with the wide receivers. I kind of put them in the same class, like how I build my team. So I won't hoard the position, but I'll have a good amount of depth on each of my teams for Dynasty.
Yeah, and that's actually the first time I've heard that kind of process is to liken the linebackers to wide receivers because throughout all the time that I've been playing, people often say linebackers are like the running backs of defense. But you have way more linebackers, and in the dynasty sense, I would kind of agree with that stance that they are more like wide receivers and they can score like them too, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll touch on something that it's a myth regarding the IDP analysts and how people try to trade with you guys. But let's hear some of your thoughts about the draft. This draft that just happened like a month ago, and what stood out to you? What are some of the concerning landing spots for you with regards to the rookies?
Uh, what stood out to me? Well, my top two linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds and Roquan Smith, they landed in pretty much gold mine position, gold mine spots. You know, Smith should eat in Chicago, and Edmonds is going to eat in Buffalo. Taking the inside linebacker jobs over there. Um, and by the way, in your rookie draft, you'll be okay if you take them early second. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to your league mates on that. And then some sleepers or some dark horses that don't get that much talk is the Packers picking Burks. Um, I think he can turn out to be very special in that defense because from the linebacker position, they don't have that much speed there, and he brings the speed and athleticism there. Um, and then a few um, undrafted free agents, which I'm still trying to figure out why I didn't get drafted, but it's all good. Frank Ginda, he got signed by the Cardinals, and he led the nation in tackling last year. I know that doesn't say everything, but it's just for me when I watched him, it shows that he's always around the ball, so he has a chance to make noise in Arizona. Um, and then you got Tigray Scales signing with the Rams. They lost Ogletree, so they have a vacant vacant spot at the second inside linebacker position next to Mark Barron. So he has a good shot of at earning a role there. And then some not concerning landing spots, but maybe a little disappointing in the IDP community is Bradley Chubb. Tremendous talent, but he loses his defensive end tag in IDP, and as he went to Denver, so he's going to be a linebacker. It doesn't really decrease his value much, but in today's game, people who go after linebackers are like the ones that get the volume. But I'm still going to draft Chubb because I love Khalil Mack, I love Von Miller. So and then there's also the Jaguars taking his name Taven Bryan,
Yeah,
defensive
Brian
tackle.
Taven in the first round. Yeah.
Yeah, Taven Bryan. Another monster talent, but it's going to be a crowded position, so he might not contribute right away in IDP leagues, especially in defensive tackle premium leagues. But that was a small bummer. But you know, if we're patient, it'll all pan out. And then I think last one, kind of scratching my head still, but I can kind of understand it probably as training camp comes around. Fitzpatrick up in Miami. I don't really think that was a need for them, but maybe it'll all pan out. But for IDP, that kind of drops his value a little bit.
Absolutely.
So
And
he, yeah,
yeah, I'm a little bit closer to the Miami, or I used to live in the Miami area, so I kind of get in touch with the team. The talks of T.J. McDonald or Rashad Jones might hinder Fitzpatrick's value right now, but some way somehow that organization will mismanage their roster and he'll find a way in. Hopefully they put
yeah,
Minka in a good position.
yeah.
So yeah, we have a little bit of peek inside your process. And a lot of times we have to pay attention to so many things, position wise. Like you mentioned, Bradley Chubb would have been better served as a defensive end rather than in a linebacker. But if your scoring does, I know we talked about this on Twitter a little bit, if your scoring does have those edge rushers score the same amount as a inside linebacker or a linebacker with the volume, you might not have that big of a concern as well. So let's talk about that. What is your ideal kind of IDP scoring, and how do you think the industry should, in your opinion, should they have a more uniform type of IDP scoring, or should we still hold on to this tackle heavy versus big play kind of scoring system?
Uh, I'll touch on that one first. As a as an overall landscape for IDP scoring, the beautiful part of the game is there's so many different variant scoring out there that you can use for IDP, and I actually want to leave it like that. Like if you put a standard on IDP scoring, I mean, I guess it's okay because you can have a template, and that can probably help in um, future games. Like if it ever goes to DFS or anything like that, I guess it'll kind of help with having a template. But as far as joining leagues and everything, straight across the board, just I am good with every league having a different scoring setting because it just I think it makes it fun, and then it kind of changes your strategy in each league depending on the scoring. And then my favorite scoring and all I prefer is the no position left behind scoring, which is a league I joined a couple of years ago. Um, it's one of the best scoring systems I've ever been in IDP. It's positional scoring, so each defensive position has their own scoring setting, and that's how it should be. And it rewards big for sacks. For every half sack, you get 3 points, and that's straight across the board. And so that adds so much value to the edge rushers or the outside linebackers that get the linebacker tag because in this particular scoring setting, Chandler Jones, who was a beast last year, ended up finishing the season as linebacker 6. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that type of scoring sounds like it reflects the real impact that these players can put on the field, as statistic wise, or even having a effect on how they can change the game on Sunday. The one league that you're talking about, I am familiar with. I've had the pleasure of just working with Mike Sood and looking through Adams stickies to get a glimpse of that league. So maybe I'll share that in the description of this video, how the scoring system looked like, and it's fantastic because really it's balanced well between the defensive players and the offensive players. I can tell um,
Yes.
just the linebackers are up there in the end of year scoring, and it makes a not just the linebacker. I think it makes JJ Watt that much more valuable. It makes the Joey Bosa. I'm already thinking about next year for Nick Bosa, but Joey Bosa, all very valuable commodities that you can trade for example, a top 10 offense. So I enjoy that scoring. I think that would be a great template to start off, but I also like your idea. It encouraged creativity with each different scoring format and encourage different strategy. And it just gives people like you and I, the degenerates of fantasy football, a way of keeping fresh, keeping up with different challenges. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So let's talk about some of the myth that I see. Oftentimes, when I play with you guys, I see people throwing these ridiculous offer, trying to sell you like JJ Watt for Todd Gurley and things like that. So why is it that people think that those kind of offers would work, and what is it? What would you like to tell them? I guess.
Well, I'll just say I can see they might think it might work because of where certain IDP finished the year before, but just like you know, tight ends and running backs, it season ending results, it always fluctuates on who finishes where, and just because for example, Watt finished top five overall in your league, um you're gonna have a hard time finding an owner to jump on that where he'll give up, like you said, a Todd Gurley who just dominated fantasy last year. Just because pretty much offensively, what we're used to is offense carrying our fantasy teams, and we're used to having a dominant running back. So if you're looking to trade an IDP for a top offensive prospect for a player, um, you don't get offended if that girly owner wants you to add on one or two more pieces to make it work, because that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of also, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys have such a deep knowledge of the IDP, you're looking beyond just names. You're looking how deep the class is or how deep a position is, and you can find value later on. So you're not jumping on because Jadavion Clowney is fantastic. They have this great pressure, but it does not result in stats at times, things such as that. Um, so that kind of challenges people in their way of building. If they want to become a better IDP player, what would be the one advice you want to give them? How can they start?
Uh, Study depth chart. That's To me, that's one of the most important things in what I learned in IDP. If you don't study depth charts, uh, you're not going to know, who's next man up, or if someone leaves free agency, if someone gets traded, or if someone gets injured. And you also got to know if that next man up is actually worth, you know, uh, going after in waivers, because a lot of times that backup linebacker behind your stud is nothing more than a two down linebacker, and you don't want that on your team. So if you study the depth chart, especially even at safety and defensive end, especially defensive end, because a lot of teams rotate now. So the third or fourth defensive end on a team can still win games for you, because with their um, with their snap count, they have so much energy still that you know fourth quarter they'll have fresh legs and they can give you like 2 sacks in the fourth quarter. So depending on your scoring, that might help you. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's fantastic
that's
advice. I've
that.
actually never thought of it, but it's as simple as understanding. rotations, next man up, snap counts, and all that, and that you can gain just by studying the depth chart. Thank you so much for that. So let's move on to one of my final question. What do we have? What can our owners expect from the linebacker class this year, both veterans, rookies combined? How do you see this position? Um, are there is it becoming more rotational? Where do you see how these different types of schemes affect the linebacker class this year?
I'll start off with the rookies this year. One piece of advice to everyone: as much as you know, I tout them, I talk about them all the time. You gotta have patience. Like from last year and a couple years before, um, you gotta go in having patience in the draft. Even if you draft with Tremaine Edmonds, you gotta have patience because they're still rookies. They still gotta learn the speed of the game, and they gotta adapt. So don't have high expectations right off the bat. Just go in your season knowing that whatever you get from them is just a bonus added on to your veteran core that you have already. And so if you have taxi squads in your league, use them. That's all. Especially for guys like Frank Ginda and the Gray Scales and Sky Moore and Fred Warner and all that stuff. Use them, keep them in your taxi squad, even if they blow up, because you can unleash them once they fully develop. So just have patience. And as a general overall linebacker unit with the veterans, it's insanely deep. Like the elites or the top tier linebackers, it's a little more crowded than before. So you'll be good with getting any of the top 12 linebackers. But with today's game too, a lot of dime, a lot of nickel, a lot of subs, a lot of safeties playing linebacker now. So you kind of want those elite middle linebackers or even the weak side like Levante David, ones that never or rarely ever get off the field. So if you have an idea of which these linebackers are, go ahead and get at least two of them. So weekly you'll be set. Your third, fourth linebacker weekly starter can be like a Bradley Chubb or the Ryan Kerrigans and Justin Houston's, the X factors, wild cards that they give you a four-set game, and that'll help you tremendously. And lastly, touching up on like Khalil Mack and everything, as long as your league score stacks decently, like at least 3 points a stack, four is usually good enough. Don't be afraid to draft guys like Khalil Mack, Von Miller, Nick Perry. Don't be afraid to draft them because there'll be a game where your Bobby Wagner only has 2 tackles, but Khalil Mack has 5 sacks, and Mack was the one that's going to help you win that week for you. So yeah, like overall, it's a deep class, or yeah, deep class, deep field this year. The landscape is growing, but a lot of vets. You're going to see a lot of vets possibly lose some snaps to the younger guys now, or guys that can cover now. So if you're like me, I go and get my guys. Like whoever I talk to you about on Twitter, that's the same person that's on my roster. So that's
Yeah,
it about that.
you have never steered me wrong. I've always asked you about who should I look out for, and they're still on my roster, and I believe in them so much because the ones that you did hit became a real part of a core of my team. And so, guys, I encourage you to go and hit B up on Twitter. B, let them know where they can find you, how they can find your work, and how they can support you in your continued service to our Dynasty League?
Hey, well, I'm on DLF now, which is Dynasty League Football .com, and I'm no longer the only IDP guy now. There's a bunch of great IDP guys with me there. So if you've never visited the site or you on the fence, take a look at it. We do tremendous work there. I'm in the process of getting a lot of work out there as we hit training camps and like articles like my breakout article should be dropping sometime soon. You know, my sleepers. I got the draft winners and losers coming out. A couple of my buddies at DLF already got theirs in the works too. So we got a lot of stuff coming out, and as usual, I'm appreciative and thankful for everyone's support because that's what drives me. That's what keeps me going. Like I just want to do the best I can for you guys.
Awesome, awesome. We do miss you at the fake Pigskins farm, so drop by anytime you can have some time. I'm sure you're a busy, busy man,
Yeah.
but we'll give you a shout out from Regan and everyone else at the farm. So thank you so much, guys. You can find this video on YouTube. You can hit me up on at FF Dynasty 101 on Twitter. Thank you so much for dropping us your knowledge. We will file away those names. Let me go try to pick these players up before I post this video up. So thank you so much.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, B.
Thank you.
And have a good night.
Aloha.